There are days when whole day we are not doing anything. There are people who are just passing their time. Now question is, are we living or we are just surviving or we are just passing that time which we have got as a treasure, as a privilege. We want to achieve this, we want to achieve that, but are we even living? Are we living each and every moment of life? Are we enjoying each and every moment of life? Are we happy in whatever we are doing? Now, I just remember one of the incidents from my childhood. So I have always seen my father, my Guru, Gurudev Swami Bharat Bhushanji, telling this incident at several discourses. So he says, when I was in my younger days, so I was sitting in my study room and I was studying something, I was writing something, and suddenly my daughter, who was 3 years old that time, so he's talking about me when I was 3 years old. So he says, my daughter came into that room and she was just dancing because she loves dancing. So she was dancing around. I was still writing something. I was doing swadhyay. I was studying, writing, and she was dancing, and suddenly I was not distracted by her and her dancing, but then suddenly she stopped. So the moment she stopped, that got my attention. That dancing was not distracting him, but when that child stopped dancing, that was a distraction point for him. So he says, I stopped and I looked at her, and she was just standing and looking at the floor she was like with a shock. So I asked her, I said, what happened, my child? What happened? So she says, my daughter said, there was an ant, and she said, Father, he's dead. So what happened? That girl, 3 years old, me, in my childhood, was dancing, and then while dancing, there was an ant which came under the feet, and that ant died. So father asked, what are you doing? What are you looking at? So she said, ant has died. So now Gurudev says that I just forgot about everything, and there was one question that came into my mind. How this 3 years old child knows what is life and what is death? So he left all his work and he asked that child, do you know what is death? Now I think for a 3-year-old it was an absolutely out of syllabus question, right? So that little girl was shocked to hear that question, and she just stopped and looked at her father, and again looked at that ant, and again looked at father, and again looked at ant, and again looked at father, and again looked at ant, and she answered, when someone stop doing anything, he is dead. When you stop doing anything, you are dead. So Gurudev says that was the biggest lesson of my life. When you stop doing anything, you are dead. How beautiful it is. Now you judge yourself. You're surviving, living, or just passing time. Earning money, anyone can do. Giving birth to children, anyone can do. Eating, anyone can do. Taking physical pleasures, anyone can do. How you are different. Your spirituality, your seva makes you different from all others. Your willingness to serve others makes you different from all others. And your willingness to be alive, that means to be doing something in life forever, ever, ever. I've seen my grandmother. She was 101-year-old when she left her body. I would not say she died, because even till then she was working, working, working. She was 101-year-old and she was taking care of her cow. She was feeding her cow. She was taking care of herself. She was doing yoga abhyas. She was walking. She was, taking stairs herself, coming down herself, and completely active. So I would never say she died. She just left her body till her last breath. She was alive. But I've also seen people at 20 dead, because they're just surviving, they're just passing time, but they're not living. So make sure that you live. You have an objective which you have to achieve, but even in this process of achieving that objective, in this process of reaching your destination, you should also know how to enjoy this path. We don't have an objective, we are not alive. We have an objective, we're just thinking that we have an objective, not doing anything for that, we are not alive. And we have an objective and we are so tensed about reaching that destination, achieving that objective, that we just don't care about what path we are taking, how happy we are we enjoying that path or not? Doesn't make any sense. So right thing is, we have an objective and we are enjoying that path. And this makes you alive, and this makes that life beautiful.